Welcome to Shifting Impressions, Conversations with the Realm of Beings, with me, Gretta Chamberlain, Yvonne Kraeher, Leigh Stima, and the Realm of Beings. Shifting Impressions, which is one of the vehicles that supports the transmission of the Realm of Beings, is here to assist you in delving into your being by providing numerous topics and discussions for you to intake as you deepen your connection with your inner world. Shifting Impressions is here to assist you in strengthening yourself as you excavate to understand your true nature. Leigh, Yvonne, and myself, with the Realm of Beings, eagerly invite you to join us today and learn to shift your mindset, shift your thoughts, and shift your focus to recreate your life and produce a new you. Shifting Impressions starts now.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. You've tuned in to Shifting Impressions, Conversations with the Realm of Beings. I'm Leigh, and I'm here with my co-hostesses, Yvonne and Gretta, and as always, the Realm of Beings. We're very happy to be on Transformation Talk Radio every Friday at 11 a.m. When you hear that term, Realm of Beings, you may ask yourself who they are and how they operate in our lives. Do we all have contact with something? We go into great length answering all of those questions in our first episode of the podcast. So if you're new, please revert back to episode 1 and get all of those juicy details. Otherwise, we usually take a quote that has been downloaded through Gretta from the Realm of Beings, and the three of us discuss the meaning and the deepness of the quote. And today, I would like Yvonne to read the quote that we'll be working with, if that is possible.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thanks for joining us. And this quotation is, lessons abound in this experience that you have created for yourself. Do not be discouraged for yourself or others, for each is the creator and the one. So here we go, ladies. We're off to the races. Life, I suppose, is a school of lessons, and we all are here to learn, good or bad, happy or sad. They're all lessons, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. I know we were talking before the podcast started this morning. Yvonne said I had gotten snagged by the quote and didn't even realize it because we started. She asked me how my day was going, and I said, well, it's going, and I'm glad, that I'm here for it to go. And then I started talking about that I had a challenge all last week that I've been dealing with even during this week. And it was like, Greta, you've got challenges, Yeah, I've got challenges. And I told her about, I gave an example of one of my experiences. I was dealing with a cold. And a gentleman that I facilitated for, I happened to be standing by me, and he said, what's going on with you? And I said, what do you mean, what's going on with me? And he said, you have a cold. And I said, well, first, I don't have a cold, but I am experiencing one. He said, well, how can you do that? I said, what do you mean, how can I do that? He says, well, with everything that you know, how can you be going through that experience? I said, don't you see me here in the third dimension with you? And then Yvonne and I started discussing that lessons are eternal. They go eternal and go into infinity. Okay, so we might as well deal with it. What we've done is that we've chosen which lessons we wanted to learn, what we want to experience for our growth. Everybody is growing. Regardless of what your personality is exhibiting. You know, if we judge you, we could say you're the worst person walking. But that individual has chosen those lessons, and it's okay. That takes us into that whole concept of unconditional love. So we don't need to be discouraged because of what someone is going through. They could have decided that they want to experience cancer. That's okay, because they have decided that, and it's for their growth. Because all of these things, this dis-ease, as some people call it, instead of disease, they call it dis-ease, meaning without ease. So, but we've created those things. Why? Because we want to experience overcoming them. It's
So
like, go
what
ahead.
about the people that, this just popped into my head, you know, where the comment you made about we're all growing. Sometimes it doesn't seem like that. At least for me, when I look around and I see people being stuck in the same pattern over and over again, it just doesn't feel like they're growing. I know it might be my judgment, my perception of whatever's going on, but even for myself, sometimes I look and I say, wow, like, why does the universe, why am I keep experiencing the same thing? Like, one of the podcasts we talked about abandonment, and it just showed up here, like, without even us like really going too far, abandonment shows up. So yeah, like, why, you know, like, are we all growing? Is that an accurate statement, Greta?
Oh, yes, most definitely. Most definitely.
Well, what about these patterns? Why is it that why does it look like some people aren't growing? They're just getting stuck in the same loop, going around and around and experiencing the same, whatever the issue is, addiction, abandonment, abuse. There's a lot of them out there.
Oh, yeah. I told you, and I think I might have shared somewhere in one of the podcasts that we did, that I have a loop, and I'm still in it, doggone it, that's been with me for 62 years. The same loop. And I just discovered it at the age that I am now, that I'm in a loop.
And you
know?
still are in it.
Yeah, because part of my loop was rejection, feeling rejected. And I know that sometimes it can come up. Somebody can say something to me just really briefly, and I'll feel rejected. And I go, oh, Greta, look where you're going. You know, and then I QDR it real quick. I said, I release all emotions and thoughts that support me in feeling rejected. So I'm constantly doing a QDR, because that means for some odd reason, my unconscious is not letting go of it. That means that I have the energy that's being used to maintain the loop for me has not been overcome by my conscious desire not to have the loop. See, because everything is energy. Everything is energy. So whatever you're actually experiencing, you're giving more energy to that than the opposite. That's why that QDR works wonders. I know I use it all. I use it constantly.
Yeah, it definitely helps me too. I love that tool.
Yeah, because it's emotions. Go ahead, Leigh, you were going to say.
I have something to share. So we can maybe do some real world learning or real podcast learning. You know, last week it was abandonment. This week, now I'm the abandoned.
Oh my gosh.
I mean,
we're still on the issue. Let's hear your story, Leigh.
That's what it was. I was having a few technical issues before joining the podcast, and I was reaching out to you ladies to get the dial-in number, and my messages on various applications were just ignored. And I tried to call Yvonne and she didn't answer. So I felt, I mean, I was getting angry, right? But that is just the cover for feeling abandoned. It's just the cover for feeling like, where are those? I knew you were both out there, but how come no one was answering? Don't they want me to join the podcast? That was more, I mean, if you really think back to that sort of child in you, right? There was something saying like, are they excluding me? How come no one is answering? And I guess I have this, I don't know, is it abandonment? Is it insecurity? Like, pick a challenge. Pick a bouquet of challenge.
I can give you my response, because I feel the techno challenge, being of a little bit elder generation. I didn't grow up with the cell phone in my hand, but I decided, since I have a new cell phone, I can start learning about it. And I put it on Do Not Disturb today. So
Oh,
because in the middle of the podcast, the thing is ringing and I don't know what to do with it. So I was like, I'm going to solve this problem. There it goes. So I wasn't trying to abandon you. Just.
And myself, I was in the kitchen. I was in my kitchen, which is close to this room. And I was taking a snack before we came. And I usually I said, who's calling me? It's time for our podcast. Who's doing that? And something in my brain said, answer that phone.
Yeah.
And I looked and it was Leigh.
And I was getting that same feeling. I'm thinking, maybe I should, since Leigh wasn't here, I'm thinking maybe I should take my phone off of Do Not Disturb in case she wants to call us. But of course, it would take me probably 15 minutes to figure out how to do that. And by the time I said it would have been too late. So, but hey, we all overcame abandonment this time too, and we're here together. So
yeah. But what shows that Leigh, the energy that she was using to be on the podcast was stronger than the energy of abandonment.
There's the growth.
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go. So
because I was recognizing the misplaced anger, right? I mean, there was no reason to be angry, but it was also maybe like, covering up for worry or something, oh, am I going to miss it? They're going to have to start without me. So why is it that oftentimes, how come anger sort of, or frustration rises above those, oh, just stay calm, they're not going to start without you, you will work it out kind of thing?
It's always that fear. It feels like that fear bubbling up, like that fear of like for me, if I put myself in your shoes, Leigh, I would be like, oh, I'm afraid that I'm going to be disappointing Gretta and Leigh and Jacob and all of our listeners if I'm not there. And so, like, I guess settling back and saying there's really nothing to fear, because even if I'm not there, Gretta and Leigh will figure out a way to carry on. And actually,
Right.
Leigh stepped in and had me read the quote, because I was like, oh, she probably doesn't have the quote in front of her. Break a little tradition here, and off we go. So yeah, it's always good and they gave me an opportunity to be out there as well. So,
and see, because we have create, support, create. Leigh created the challenge that she had this morning. So she had to uncreate it. We couldn't uncreate it for her. She had to uncreate it. And what we did was support her in various ways. So the support went from abandonment, because how she interpreted not being able to reach Yvonne, to then calling me and something saying to me, because we're all connected. See, that's the great thing about this. We are all connected. So because you started to think maybe I should turn my phone back on. See, we all started to think on it. So, and I'm going, I don't usually answer the phone when we're getting ready to do the podcast, and something said to me, go get that phone. So I answered my phone, and then it turned out to be Leigh. And I said, oh my God, what would have happened if I hadn't answered? You know, so, but I didn't even have to go there because that was Leigh's creation of reality. The only thing Yvonne and I did was give you support. So this is another beautiful illustration of our own experiences in create, support, support, create. Because that goes on simultaneously. Yeah. And there were so many lessons.
Nobody was discouraged too. I mean, Leigh, you seem to be settled down now, not so nervous, because when you first got on, you know, there was the lighting issue and the background and all those things. But I don't know, I feel like you're relaxed and sort of, you know, settling in, and I don't feel discouraged. So that's part of the quote too. So yeah.
Yeah, we don't have to be discouraged because that's a strong energy. Because like you said, Yvonne, that's fear. You know, I was talking to somebody the other day and I said, she was going to have to deal with her mother and her father because she was experiencing PTSD, and we're trying to figure out, well, where did that come from? Because it didn't have to be from the person that triggered it, because we want to get down to the root. And the root was her family, how she was reared in her family, and the family dynamics that was going on that made her experience PTSD when she was even young as a child. I told you, I said, you just didn't get it. You know, where did it come from? And where did you learn it? So she learned it from her parents, you know, because of them, you know, having an argument upon argument, anger inside their relationship, which went to her father being erratic in his behavior. So you never know what he was going to be like. So she was scared. And so she's formed a loop with that. You know, so I told her, I said, we got to go down. I said, your parents in this relationship, your parents, they're the root. And you have to deal with the root. Like with my feelings of abandonment, I had to deal with the root of it, which came when my father said, Gretta, I'm leaving. When I was 10. I'm leaving and you're not going to be able to see me again. I'm taking your brothers and I and my wife, and we're moving to California because he was divorced from my mother. And I remember thinking, why are you taking my brothers and not taking me? I want to go too. You know, I felt that because I was having a challenging relationship with my mother. So, you know, you always think the other parent is going to be better than your child until you get over there to the other side and you go, oops.
Grass is always greener.
And that's always because wherever you go, you take yourself with you, right? It's not about the others. It's
That's
about,
right.
it's about you.
Yeah, it is. It's about each one of us. We think, see, it's part of the illusion in this environment called Earth. We think that it's the other person. We always look at the other person. The other person did this to me. You fired me. You hit me. You screamed at me. You hurt my feelings. You stole my money. It's not about those people. It's always about us. Everything is internal. And we've said this before, it's internal. It's the challenges are internal, and so are the solutions internal, both of them. All of that is within you. So deal with you.
We are headed towards our first break. When we come back, we will talk more about how we face or how we understand what is happening within us so we can step out of these loops and evolve. Thank you. You've been listening to Shifting Impressions, Conversations with the Realm of Beings. We'll be right back.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Yvonne. I'm here again with Leigh and Gretta, and the realm will be with us in our last segment. And we're here on Transformation Talk Radio every Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern. And the name of our podcast is Shifting Impressions, Conversations with the Realm of Beings. And we are just having a blast today, I have to say. Leigh's disappearing and reappearing and changing things up. So it's a lot of energy going on in the background and in the foreground. So thanks, Leigh, for the entertainment. And we're here. The time is flying by, but we're diving into this quote. I'll put it up again out there. The quote is, "Lessons abound in this experience that you have created for yourself. Do not be discouraged for yourself or for others, for each is the creator and the one." And we have been discussing fear and lessons, the idea of control, not taking life so serious. In our previous segment, we were talking about looking inside versus pointing the finger externally and blaming others for perhaps our own fears and our own discomfort. You know, it's so much easier to just blame other people, just point those fingers and, you know, what happens in the past, our parents are such easy targets. Well, it's all their fault. And then if we're in relationship, oh, it's my partner or my job, you know, we're just find we have all this discomfort because we're constantly, I don't say constantly, but we do experience challenges and they're here for a reason. They're here to teach us lessons. And sometimes we do get stuck. And it could be for many, many years in the same loop. So yeah, picking apart this quote and these lessons and techniques that we've learned through the last 30 or so podcasts we've done together. And how do we step out? How do we get out of the idea of that loop and move through to real breakthroughs and growth? Yes. By the way, listeners, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to call. And I don't have the number. Maybe we can put it in the chat, Jacob, and we'll pick it up and give our listeners an opportunity to call in or write on the website, the Transformation Talk Radio website. There it is, 1-800-930-2819. That's 1-800-930-2819. Send us an email, give us a call, comment. We'd love to hear your questions and comments.
Mm-hmm.
So getting back to what we were talking about before the break, how do we, when we do this internal looking, you know, where do we start? In the first segment, Greta, you gave an example of a woman who was, you know, still carrying around some PTSD that she had learned as a child. So, you know, what is the, you know, how do, you know, I would assume the first step is recognition that it's there. And we have those, you know, we create these lessons, right? So we're creating to keep it with us. So when we realize it's there and we don't want it anymore, you know, what is this, you know, what is the step aside from, you know, QDRing it to recognize that this, you know, PTSD is coming up and releasing it and replacing it with unconditional love, what else can we do?
One thing is very simple. Just say, I don't want this anymore. That's a simple statement. I don't want this anymore. Now, when you say, I don't want this anymore, you're setting up the energy to bring to yourself or to attract to yourself everything that you need to get rid of what you don't want. It's going
So
to
the QDR, basically, a QDR request, you're getting rid of it and replacing it with that one statement.
Yeah, I just don't want it. I don't want this anymore. So you tell yourself, I don't want this anymore. So I'm bringing everything to me that I need not to have this anymore. It's when I decided that I didn't want congestive heart failure anymore. I know the doctor said to me, well, you have congestive heart failure and this, he gave me all the technical reasons why I was experiencing, right? All the physical reasons why I'm experiencing it, But the point was that, well, look what you created, Greta. Now I had to decide, because I was the one that was walking around and could hardly breathe. It was difficult for me to cross the street, without feeling I was dying. And I was going to school at the time and going to the university, and I had to walk. I could drive my car, but once I got out of my car, I had to walk to the university, which from the parking lot, it was about 2 blocks. 2 blocks for me was like a lifetime. People were passing me by because they were all running. It looked like they were running to me because they're walking fast. I no longer could walk fast.
So you decided you didn't want that. That was the first step?
Yeah, I decided I didn't want it.
Did you ever go and explore why you created it? Like, did you go, or didn't matter to you?
At the time, I really didn't even think about why I did it. Because it was so debilitating for me that the only thing I could focus on was, I don't want this. That was my focus. I don't want this. So then I went and because I didn't want it, I got this advertisement that came through the mail to me. And it said, inflammation. You can take this product for inflammation. So I knew congestive heart failure, part of it is inflammation with your heart. Well, yeah, you can carry inflammation throughout your entire body. So I called and they sent it to me. So you have to be proactive. You just can't sit down and wallow in it. You have to be proactive. And so because so the energy brought that to me. See, once I said, I don't want this anymore. I don't want to experience it anymore. I don't want it in my life anymore. And I talked to my heart. I said, heart. See, that's another thing. If it's a body issue, you want to talk to your body because every cell hears you. Every cell hears you. So I talked to my heart and I said, look, heart, I love you. I love you. I appreciate everything that you are doing for me. I appreciate that you are keeping me here, supporting me and staying here. For this, I'm so grateful to you. So I let it know that it was okay, that it enlarged itself. But why did it enlarge itself? It enlarged itself for me.
It seems like it wanted your attention, Greta.
To the issue. Yes, that's what your body does.
Yeah, it calls the attention, like whatever, maybe you have a stomach ache or a headache. It's like, feel like that part of you or is like, pounding on your door saying, knocking on your door saying, give me some attention, give me some love, give me some gratitude, because here I am all, whatever is going on in your head, or in your case, your heart, or a pain in your leg. So that piece of your body, that part needs to be addressed, needs some love.
Yeah, definitely. Because it is part of its experience is to support us at the unconscious level.
Yeah, unconscious.
Yeah, it's at the unconscious. A lot of people say subconscious. We don't really deal with subconscious. It's the unconscious. It's at that unconscious level that you are being supported. Because I say, who in God's name is going to give themselves cancer? Nobody.
Nobody that I would know, not like, who would want to go through that suffering?
Right. So it has to come from the unconscious. You're not aware of it. So cancer is a sign of holding on to little hurts. In other words, you're into blaming, and you don't, he hurt me or she hurt me. So you hang on to it, you hang on to it, you hang on to it, and so that you give more energy to the hanging on of these little hurts than you do loving yourself. And this is the thing.
When we create these, when we create these challenges that affect us, that come down physically or not down, but I mean, it oftentimes makes us realize, because so much of what happens here is, functioning in the unconscious, right? We don't pay attention to our heart beating mostly. We don't pay attention to our breath mostly. So when we create these body challenges, it really, I think, it highlights how tenuous this whole experience is, right? And how much exactly we take for granted. Because Greta, when you were just trying to walk, and walking 2 blocks was like walking 2 miles, on your hands. And I have had some challenges where like mobility sort of came to the forefront. A friend of mine now is having the same thing, where you realize, oh wow, like this vessel really supports me. And when it doesn't support me, when it starts to go, like this existence becomes really unbearable.
It can be. So that's why we get proactive about it. Do things that you need to do to change it. Because
Right.
And your energy, once you say, I don't want this, the energy is going to bring to you, especially if you're really strong about it. I was strong about it, and so it brought me the product to get rid of the stress. It brought me, I'm taking myself to the health food store. What do I need to do with this? They said, well, grape seeds can help. So I started taking supplements that had grape seeds in it. I started doing removing the stress through that product that I mentioned. And then I started doing Qigong. I started doing Qigong sitting because I couldn't stand. So I would go to the Qigong class, everybody else is standing. I'm sitting because I can't stand, just to be able to sit and move my arms and do all of that was a challenge for me. But I had to be proactive. And then it took me 5 years. 5 years.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, that's
Yeah.
a remarkable transformation, but
5 years.
Sounds like it took the 5 years of really caring for yourself,
Oh, yeah.
doing tasks and, exercise and eating proper foods that we all hear about that, make our body stronger and healthier, and consciously aware of whatever was bringing you stress and changing that up, spending time and breathing and exercising. Even if you couldn't stand up, you participated and you received the love of those people that were in the class to support you.
Yes, yes.
Mm.
And the, and the teachers. And I remember one time I was standing in my kitchen and my heart started to hurt. And I asked the realm, because I recognize they're always with me. And I said, can you tell me what's wrong? And they very calmly told me, oh, you're having a heart attack.
Oh, was it true?
Yes. I said, I'm having a heart attack? Yes. I said, oh, okay, thank you. I walked into my living room. I sat down on my sofa. I put my hand over my heart. It doesn't matter which one. I told it, look, there's no need for us to do this today. We don't need this. I love you. Calm down. It's okay. Whatever you feel that I'm going through, it's okay. I love you. I understand. So just calm down. But see, I know the energy works. So I sent it energy. I sent it light blue energy so it could calm down. In about 20 minutes, it was over. And I got back up and went on, kept doing what I was doing in the house.
I mean, and that's like a remarkable perspective to have. And fortunately, you were involved in this work and could redirect that energy, right? So that's a wonderful example of how this, how this internal healing can happen. But before we go to the next break, and I'll try to be as fast as possible, when you were talking earlier and you were saying that you just say, I don't want it, and then that starts to make the energy shift, right? Now, I thought it was interesting because all of those things you were talking about, we would say ordinarily, maybe, if we weren't talking about creation of reality, oh, all of these synchronicities just started to happen. They just started to occur. But it's really, and generally, I think we think again of from an external point of view that, oh, these, I just, whatever, changed it. Not that you were creating it, that just, something started to align, right? But that's a great example of when you do some internal work and start shifting something, you also start shifting what comes to you, but you're doing it. It's not necessarily some kind of like, oh, I made a wish and, it showed up from the universe, like it's actually you're doing it. So when you say, I don't want this anymore, and then bingo, someone tells you about this doctor and it's just the perfect one for you, but that's you creating those changes, right? And then
Absolutely.
we have to go to take a break. But
I think that was very important, Leigh, that you took the time to say that and to say it in the way that you said it.
Yeah,
Because,
reinforce.
yeah, because people will say, well, the universe did it. What do you mean the universe did it? You're the universe.
Mm-hmm.
right.
You're everything, because we're all one. That's what that quote says too. You're the creator and you're the one, but that's very difficult for us to understand because we've been taught separation for so long. And when we deviate from health, we've actually separated ourselves from the health of our body.
Yeah, that's a good point too.
You see,
Yeah.
it's a separation. So we want to honor. It's important for each person to honor each person. It's important to honor yourselves. We have to honor ourselves. We have to love ourselves. We have to appreciate, because when you appreciate, you're appreciating every cell in your body. And you can shout, you can do the holy dance. At church, when the drums start doing it, everybody starts jumping up and dancing. I don't know if you've ever gone to a
I
Black
love that.
church or an
Yeah.
apostolic church. Everybody's in joy and in the rhythm of it. So we want to be in the rhythm of our bodies. We want to be in the enjoyment of these vehicles that we have. Some of us sit around and say, I'm too fat or I'm too skinny.
Yeah, you create the experience of, or even too old. Oh, I'm so old now, I can't get up the steps or this or that. And you're actually, if you don't say that or don't think that, your body, and you think the opposite, you're young and vital and healthy, then you don't end up having pains and inability to walk up the stairs, at such and such an age. But ladies, this podcast seemed to have flown by. We're already at the end of chapter 2, segment 2 here. And the good news is we'll be back with one more segment, and the realm will be with us. So stay tuned. We are going to take a short break, and thanks for listening.
Hello, and welcome back to Shifting Impressions, Conversations with the Realm of Beings. I'm Leigh, and I'm here with Yvonne and Gretta. We went a little over in our last segment, so let's get right to it. Realm, what do you have to say about the quotation we've been discussing?
The first thing is each one of you, and we've been saying this at every podcast, each one of you needs to love yourself, because that love of self goes into your emotions, goes into your thoughts, assists you in creating your realities. When you've created a reality health-wise, or with a friend, you've become disgruntled. With a mate, you cannot stand. Don't look outside yourself. Look inside yourself. You are the creator of your challenges. You are the creator of your solutions to your challenges. Don't look outside, look inside. Don't look at me. I can't help you through your challenges. I've got my own I'm dealing with. You think that just because we're coming through Gretta, that we don't have challenges. Every being, every individual in all of existence. Notice I'm saying existence. I'm not saying this universe. I'm not saying this planet. I'm saying existence. There are universes throughout that go into infinity. There are so many, you can't even begin to conceive of it. Everybody is going against each other. Either. My question is, people are in the subways being homeless, experiencing homelessness in the subways of your country. People are seeing wars occurring all over the world. People are seeing or talking about things that are in vaccines, harmful things, things that is so much concentration on challenges, 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 challenges. Start to think of glory. Start to think unconditional love. Don't pray for peace, be peace. It starts with you. You cannot change the world until you change yourself. There are collectives here that are going against other people because they're different colors than they are. We don't want people coming across the border. Let them stay over there on their side. We don't want them in this country. It fascinates us. So it's lack of love of self. Because when you hate somebody, you hate yourself. You have to hate yourself first before you can hate somebody else or hate a group of people. You must hate yourself first. You are taking on illusions of destruction instead of taking on illusions of building. You've taken on illusions, I say it again, illusions of destruction, of self, of others. We are all connected. If one person is homeless, so are you, even if you're living in a mansion. Because you are that person, as that person is you. There's only oneness. You think yourself better than the person who's living in a tent in the subway because you're living in a 2-bedroom house? Or the person who's living in a castle feels they're more superior to you because you only have a 2-bedroom house? But those are all lessons. That person living in the mansion can have the same lessons of the person living in the subway. You see, it's how, H-O-W, how am I going to learn my lesson? That's what it is. That person in the subway is no different from a person in a mansion. That person in the subway could be dealing with breast cancer, and the person in the mansion could be dealing with breast cancer. You see? You're all one. Until this world and the populace in the world begins to respect the earth, respect themselves, but it begins with you. You want peace? Be peace in you. Whatever you want, be that in you. Some people want to work, well, look what she's doing. Look what he's doing. Oh, I don't like him. You don't? What don't you like about that person? He's mean. I said, oh, well, then you've got to know who else is mean. You are. Because that's the only way you can see it in somebody else. You want to criticize someone. Look what they're doing. They don't have a job. Why don't they get a job? Well, they've decided that they didn't want one.
Realm, do you have, as always, one final word for our listeners as we wrap up this episode of the podcast?
Absolutely. We always have something to say, Leigh.
I know.
And one of the things that we're going to say today is, with our quote, everybody, everything, every individual, the cell in your body is an individual. We are all one, regardless of how we look, how we think. There truly is only oneness.
Thank you, Realm of Beings. Thank you, listeners, for joining us. This has been Shifting Impressions, Conversations with the Realm of Beings. I'm Leigh, Yvonne, and Greta, and the Realm of Beings. Until we create each other again. So long.
Once again, thanks for joining us at Shifting Impressions, Conversations with the Realm of Beings on TransformationTalkRadio.com. As you have explored today's creation of reality experience with Leigh, Yvonne, the Realm, and me, Greta, each of you is being supported by us in further developing the understanding that you are not just an individual existing in linear time and space, but a multidimensional force of infinite possibilities who is connected to all. So begin to create the realities you want. Join us every Friday at 8 a.m. Pacific Time and 11 a.m. Eastern Time on Shifting Impressions at TransformationTalkRadio.com. So long until we create each other again next Friday.